host, Jay, and today we have a very special guest here with you guys today. As you guys know, this is a podcast unlike nothing you've seen before. We're bringing in powerhouse guests to break down barriers in a way unlike no other. Today I'm going to be joined by two of my rotating co-hosts, your boy Shad the God, and a new co-host, a new face that you guys haven't seen before. And of course, our very, very special guest. But before we get started, let's introduce ourselves to the co-host real quick. Let's follow. Take a walk with me. Man number one, Shad the God. Holla at the people, man.
It's your boy Shad the God, same old engineer, architect, about to come at you with this high fire today.
And of course, guys, take a walk with me. Here's a new face that you guys might not have seen before, but get very familiar with him. He's one of a kind. My man, Chris.
What up, man?
Talk to the people, Chris.
All right, so it's your boy Chris. What you want to know? I guess you're going to find out as the podcast goes on, but stay tuned.
And guys, today our special guest, we're joined by a very special person. This doctor is breaking down barriers in a way that may not be the common way, but is a way that we need to know because he is changing the game. But instead of letting me do all the talking, I want to let him introduce himself. Here the man is, the man, Mr. Legend, Dr. Ben Gonzalez.
How you doing,
Doc,
sir?
welcome to Pumping Perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just talk to the people real quick. Let them know a little bit about yourself, doctor.
Sure. Well, how I became a doctor was kind of crazy, actually. I flew in the Air Force first. I was a linguist, and I was going to be a flyboy for the rest of my life, and all of a sudden, cancer. Cancer hit me. I got cancer in the jaw, had my face taken off, this part of my face taken off, thrown in the trash, and replaced. And that process, learning about physiology, talking to my doctors, we became friends, and I realized that that was God's way of saying, hey, guess what? You're going to be a doctor. So I went to medical school, University of Arizona, where I studied under a guy named Dr. Andrew Weil. You may know him. He's the father of integrative medicine. So I was influenced by my athletic background, my medical nutrition interest, and then I got into genetics. To make a long story short, went into the military, practiced trauma for years, and with the whole approach to integrative medicine, and I retired from the military, and now 20 years after retiring from the military, which I can't believe I'm saying it's been 20 years, I've been practicing functional and integrative medicine.
Yes.
For the perspective of metabolic repair.
Yes. And of course, Doc, you got to tell them, you're the founder and medical director of where? Tell the people.
Sure. So I'm the founder and medical director of Atlantis Medical Wellness Center. After I retired from the military, that's what I went to different hospitals, wasn't sure how to practice. I went to war, came back from war, was kind of a little confused with what I wanted to do for the rest of my life from a medical career, and then I decided, you know what? It's time to get back to the roots of what medicine really is, and that's integrative and functional and a systems biology approach. So that's what my clinic is founded on. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that was almost 20 years ago that I founded Atlantis after I retired.
There we go. So you guys heard it from the man himself. So we have a fun day planned for you guys. Stay tuned and let's get started. Let's go. So Dr. D, of course, you're the man of the hour, right? So we got to start off, right? For those unfamiliar though with functional medicine, how would you just describe it and how it kind of differs from traditional medicine in healthcare?
Well, first of all, functional medicine is a general term that's been diluted.
Okay.
So functional medicine, integrative medicine, these are all kind of terms that are kind of mixed. Bottom line is, the way you're supposed to practice medicine is in a systems biology approach.
Right.
We talk about, your heart as if it's by itself, your gut as if it's by itself. You go to your specialist, the gastroenterologist, if you have a gut problem. The gut affects your brain, the gut affects your heart, the gut affects your lungs. Functional medicine is the idea of practicing from the perspective of understanding that the human body works in a systems biology approach.
Got it.
So the best example is my beautiful wife.
Okay.
Crazy, highly functioning business owner, vegetarian, highly active, had her first heart attack at the age of 38.
Wow.
Highly active,
38.
in the middle of her salon, vegetarian. Why? And she had 4 specialists. She had a gastroenterologist for her stomach problems. She had a pulmonologist for her lung problems. She had her GYN doctor, and she had her internal medicine doctor. All before she had the heart attack. Because those physicians, good doctors in a good system that only looked at her stomach, that only looked at her lungs, that only looked at her GYN, right?
Yeah.
When in fact, all those symptoms she had to do with her heart.
Oh my God.
Functional medicine is the idea of understanding that each individual has a systems approach to all their issues. Whether you're healthy, trying to get in shape, or whether you've got a medical problem. Heart attacks start decades before. Diabetes starts decades before the diagnosis. Functional medicine is the idea of catching those things early from a systems biology approach.
That's amazing, Doc. Jump in a set. That's. I think,
You're gonna make me work out?
Yeah,
Holy
we got we got to make you jump in. And,
All right.
and
So these guys asked me to spot them if they could lift the left side of the room. Hell, now they want me to lift it.
It's funny because this is Jeremy's favorite workout, so at any chance, he always brings us over here.
and guys, I think what he said, right, though, when we just think about medicine just in general, a lot of times we hear so many terms nowadays, but really not really have an idea of what the hell we're even talking about. And I think what Doc said is a key thing. So I think even for you, Doc, a follow-up for you would be like, how did you take that and use it to help you, inspire you to where you started Atlantis, or help, to found that? What inspiration led to that?
So what I like about, to go back to the functional side of things, even in exercise, even in doing your weights and your workouts, you have to think functional, right? So shoulder workouts, people are doing these hardcore shoulder workouts, isolated shoulder workouts, when in fact things like a functional aspect, like kettlebells, moving the shoulder around, you gotta think from a functional, holistic perspective, whether you're working out or whether it's your health. To answer your question, what was the question again?
So inspiration, like how did you take that inspiration and help it lead you to founding Atlantis, like where we are now?
Yeah, well, I told you about my cancer earlier, right? So honestly, that's, so I've been an athlete all my life.
Yeah.
I was a springboard diver. You know those crazy people who jump off the 30-meter platform? Well, that was me. And then I got into triathlons young, and I got into medical nutrition and genetics young, early in my career. And honestly, the real reason why I got into medicine was my cancer. So I was diagnosed with cancer, a bone cancer in my jaw, when I was 23 years old, getting ready to fly airplanes. I was in the military. I was flying in the military as a linguist, and all of a sudden this cancer hit me, and I knew that my flying career ended.
Oh my God.
And so I didn't think about being a doctor. Even through college, I didn't even think about being a doctor. It was basically, like I said earlier, God's way of saying, hey, I'm making you think.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I was fascinated.
Yeah.
Fascinated by the doctors and what they were doing. I went to every single meeting where they were talking about my jaw, what they were gonna do. They took part of my body. They took my number 7 rib.
Is that a scar?
That's the scar from here to here. They took my number 7 rib, cut it up to match my other side of my jaw, and they replaced my jaw with my rib.
Can we see that again, Doc?
Here. So there's the scar from there to there. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can't miss it, right?
Jeez,
yeah. And they used that bone, the number 7 rib, to match this side. So I got a staple here. They used the cartilage to replace that here, and all that whole process. I went to every single doctor's meeting, even if they didn't want me there. I was sitting there because I was no longer flying. I couldn't fly anymore, and that just triggered the idea. And the doctor who did my surgery, we became friends. He and his wife tried to set me up with all his nurses. They were very cool to me.
They're like, oh, he got his number 7 on his jaw.
Right. Nothing like that. You don't see that.
No, they were very cool to me. But I was kind of struggling, right? Yeah. I was like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
I'm not flying anymore.
Right.
So anyway, we became friends, and to make a long story short, it was God's way of telling me, it's time for you to see what you really need to do for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And so ever since. And every cancer survivors, every single day think about their cancer. Every day, in some form or another.
Wow.
It's been almost 35, 40 years since my diagnosis. Every day I think about all my choices that I make have to do with either feeding the disease or starving the disease. And this is how I try to teach my patients, whether they're athletes or whether they're sick or whether they're healthy, it doesn't matter. I teach my patients every single decision you make is either going to feed the disease or kill the disease. And if you think that way, your choices need to weigh heavily on the kill the disease, right? So that's how we need to think.
Definitely. And that makes a lot of sense. We'll get you back on for another set, Doc.
You really are going to make me work, aren't you?
We're going to get you on. And guys,
Oh, look. See, they took all their plates off for me. They put all the plates on for them.
Hey, exercise good for the body.
And remember, this is Jeremy's favorite workout, so he can
that's
load the
right.
whole thing up.
That's right.
And Doc, I think he talked about a lot of key points, right, though? But he said something there that I'm going to have him repeat when he's done with his set, just about like feeding the disease, right? Because I think that's something that just in everyday life, just in general, we feed a disease a lot of times, not even realizing, Doc. So, Doc, just diving into this, right? The feeding the disease aspect. I just want to ask you, what's something that we can do just in general for everyday life to not feed the disease? Because I think that's something we're doing daily without even realizing.
You are going to love this point.
Yeah.
This is a very important point to make, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
The number one cause of all non-infectious disease processes, the number one cause is insulin resistance.
Wow.
Poor sugar metabolism in the body.
Say that again for them. Doc.
Yeah. This is important.
Yeah.
The number one cause of all non-infectious disease processes is insulin resistance.
Wow.
Not diabetes,
Wow.
but diabetes, yes, but insulin resistance leads to that, right? That's the early, if you catch insulin resistance early. So your body's inability to process sugars efficiently.
Wow.
And that's called, there's terms for that, but there's another term we should talk about, metabolic flexibility.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. But insulin resistance, so how you feed your body, how your body manages blood sugar is key for longevity, for resiliency, for keeping your body in a good place for a long time. At 90 years old, I still want to be jumping off cliffs.
Right. Yo,
Right?
at 90,
At
I'm
90.
gonna be doing like, little boat flexes.
Yeah.
And Doc, something key, right? Because obviously we're in the gym, right? And I know the conversation a lot of our viewers at home are going to be wondering and wanting and being like, please ask him this. We know weight loss nowadays is probably the topic everybody wants to talk about. There's all these fad diets, all these fad trends, things that people are taking to possibly lose weight. First and foremost, can you talk about, from a perspective of a doctor, what is the best way to go about losing weight? But then also in turn, can you touch on the different GLP-1s that we're hearing nowadays?
Yeah,
All the
that's
different things that
the-
are saying to lose weight with.
Yeah. Wow. Dude,
It's loaded, I know.
You just asked me. So here's the deal with weight.
Yeah.
When I first started medicine,
Yeah.
the general population in the US, the obesity rate was 11%.
Wow.
And 30 years ago, we were talking about exercising more, eat less, eat more organic, same exact narratives as today.
Yeah.
And there's how many books do you think have been published on weight loss and how to lose weight?
We've lost count.
Tons.
We've lost count.
Since I started medicine,
I'm on the right
the
one.
obesity rate now is 40%.
Wait, did you say 40 from 11?
40 from 11 in my career as a physician.
Wow.
And worse than that, in about 5 years, half the country is going to be obese.
You think it's like processed or just more sugar that is
I
available?
think it's complex.
Yeah.
It has to do with toxins. It has to do with food sources. It has to do with the way we're affected by social media. It's all the pressures, the difference. There's so many different factors, and
You think
in all
like
this.
the ease is more easier and more accessible to get to some of these things?
I used to go to the gas station to get gas. Now you go to the gas station, you have pretzels, pizza, a slice of a donut,
Yes.
and I got to get gas.
You can't
too, right?
escape it.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
like
escape
right
it.
in your face.
Yeah.
20 years ago, when I built my clinic, across the street from my clinic was a forest. Today, and I'm not kidding, in my premier weight loss center, and remind me to mention something about weight loss, the term weight loss. you leave the door, the front door of our building, and you see, and I'm not kidding, a Chick-fil-A, a Panera, a Five Guys, an IHOP, a TGI Fridays, a really bad fast food Mexican restaurant, 7-Eleven,
Oh my God.
a Subway joint.
So your place is the place to be right now.
Yeah, right? So these people who are struggling with weight are affected just by the smells and the sounds and the marketing of bad foods.
Yeah.
And there's a food addictive behavior, and this is important. There's a food addictive behavior that has been fed into, pardon the pun, over the last 3-4 decades, where there's a part of your brain, it's called the arcuate nucleus. The arcuate nucleus is a part of the brain, it's a teeny little piece of the brain, middle of the center of the brain, exact same centers for opioid addiction, exact same centers. That's where your food, your hunger centers are, right there next to that. So food addiction is a real thing, just like opiates, just like drugs, just like narcotics, right? Exact same thing. So if you're being fed into an addiction all the time, it's hard to get out of it. It's like telling somebody, so when we tell people to exercise more and eat less, that is dumb advice from a doctor. That's just a dumb way.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was telling Jay the other day that, like, you can get into drinking water and get used to it. You know, I know he was used to drinking juice, and juice had sugar in it. But I was like, just cut that out.
Feeds into the insulin resistance.
Yeah, if you cut that out and just drink water, you can easily get out the habit of drinking juice. I was like, it's easy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so if you get into this, it's like telling someone who has diarrhea to just stop having diarrhea, or someone who has a poison ivy rash, just stop scratching.
Yeah.
You just can't help it.
You can't.
And once a person understands that, they start to realize where they are with their food addiction behavior. My job is to get them out of it. So this is a great transition to what's called metabolic flexibility.
Hold on. I know you're about to say something key. We're about to switch exercise.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want you to save that, because I know what you're about to give the people is gold. So let's get to the next exercise and dive into metabolic flexibility. My man. All right, so Doc, you were about to leave us off on metabolic flexibility. Dive into that for the people.
Yeah. So people come to me for weight loss. Very first thing I tell those patients, anybody, is that I don't care about your weight. I'm a weight loss doctor. We have a premier weight loss center. I don't care about your weight. Why is that? Because for the last 4 decades, since our obesity rates have increased, our weight's gotten worse, and that's all everybody's ever cared about, how to lose weight. What I care about is your metabolism. And if I focus on managing your metabolism, weight loss becomes a positive side effect, not just for the sake of weight loss, but to sustain the weight loss. There are a lot of studies out there that are talking about weight loss. There's a huge amount of studies talking about weight loss, yet we still have problems with weight loss in this country, right? Very few studies on how to sustain that weight loss.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
If can you speed up your metabolism?
And which leads right into what we focus on. We focus on your ability to metabolic flexibility. Is the idea of at the cellular mitochondrial level of your body being able to switch from sugar in making energy to fat in a fasting state. So what do people do when they're fasting? They get hungry. Why? Because their body's asking for the sugar. Because they're at the mitochondrial level, their body is requiring sugar to make those packets of energy that they make, those 27, 30 packets of energy that they need to make for, and that's what their body's used to. So when they stop eating, they stop getting the sugar, they're those little factories that make that energy needs that sugar. They don't know how to switch to fat into doing that. That's metabolic inflexibility. Wow. So those people that say I'm hypoglycemic, I got to eat every hour because I get dizzy and high, and I don't feel very good, I pass out. That's your body not able to switch to fat to make energy.
That's that
in the
cycle,
fasting state.
Say that again, Doc.
That's
key.
important.
Say that again.
It's very important to understand this. When somebody is so dependent on sugar for their energy to get through the day, That's because at the basic factory, energy factory level, they can't switch to their fat in making energy. So that's why that fat accumulates. You gotta have sugar. That individual who's overweight, that's gotta have that bread, that food addictive behavior that's requiring bread because it needs to feed into that mitochondria and those mitochondria to make those energy packets to get through the day.
Wow.
And so they don't know how to do that. So that's why that sits. And you see those guys in the gym, right?
Yes.
They got that nice, they got great arms, they got great legs,
But they got the Santa
and they got sitting there.
Yeah. You know
That's metabolic inflexibility, that's insulin resistance at its best example.
Wow.
Now, Doc,
That's
you want the
amazing.
whole thing?
Go ahead and
or?
jump in real quick for
Right
your
here?
step.
What was
That's
that?
for you?
Yeah, that's for me. That's put it right there. Okay.
Go ahead, jump in there for a
Oh,
second.
come on, I'm not that bad. So with metabolic inflexibility, the first thing we do in our programs is you got to change the way somebody's body is making energy.
Okay.
Now, do you think I can do that in 1 week? Do you think I can do that in
course not.
1 month?
No, it takes time.
How many years, and this is what I tell my patients, it took, like I'm 63, right?
Yeah.
It took
No way.
63 years
Yeah.
for me to get to this point.
Wow.
If I got some sort of problem, how much time do I need to get out of it?
Right.
Months, at least.
Yeah.
What we try to do is to accelerate that individual's ability to get into a metabolic flexible state. So once they've lost the weight, what's happened when they become metabolically flexible? They can keep the damn weight off. Can I say that?
Yes, of course. You can
Yeah.
say anything you unfiltered.
They can keep the weight off, and that's part of the problem with our healthcare system is we don't approach the patient from a systems biology, functional medicine approach, and understanding we need to change their metabolism, not just to lose weight. I can get anybody to lose weight.
Yeah.
I can get anybody to lose a lot of weight,
Yeah.
but it's hard to get them to keep it off.
Gotcha.
And we got to train the body and the mind on how to sustain that, and that's the whole point.
So, Doc, what would you say is the most efficient way to lose weight?
That is a good question. That stops me from doing this.
I'll take it over for you.
The most efficient way to do that depends on who you are.
Okay.
Why do we tell a 60-year-old postmenopausal woman the same thing we tell a 20-year-old on how to lose weight?
It makes no sense.
Why do we do that? Does that make any sense to anybody?
Not at
and when I
all.
put it that way, it doesn't make sense. Yet that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Exercise more, eat less. Well, that poor woman who's postmenopausal, who's been struggling, working out hard every day, not able to lose weight, she doesn't have the tools in her body to respond.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So you got to measure those tools in the body to help you respond and improve your metabolism, and that's how the best way to do it. So you're different, I'm different, my wife is different, my daughters, my grandchildren are different individuals.
So you're telling me I can't have arms that is glistening like his? Oh, man.
I can get you there, but I'm gonna have to cheat a little bit.
So transition, right?
Yeah.
You just said something. You would have to cheat a little bit. That's something a lot of people in the gym
Cheating.
unfortunately do. They
Yeah.
cheat, and you know what we're about to talk about, Doc? Steroid uses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a thing in the gym culture, not a positive thing.
Yeah.
Doc, but talk to the people, especially a lot of the younger people out there, as to how this could be detrimental to you and why you probably should stay away from it, despite what your buddy might be telling you, your dad or your coach. This is important.
First, let's talk about cheating.
Yes.
So there are good ways to cheat, there are not so good ways to cheat. Let's get right to the not so good ways first. So yes, I can pull out some sledgehammers as a doctor, and I can dump them in the individual and get them pumped up, right?
Yeah.
I can turn me into him. I can. I can do that. I can do it by quite simply giving you growth hormone and testosterone. Start pumping you up with growth hormone and testosterone, right? So if I do that, I can get you there. What else am I doing? I'm causing some issues.
Okay.
I'm taking a sledgehammer for a little nail to put that to put that nail in that piece of wood, what's
Wow.
that sledgehammer doing? It's putting the nail in the wood, but it's also causing damage.
Wow.
Long-term damage, those types of things, warranted in certain instances, but those kinds of things, if that's what you're doing young just to get to the right place, you're causing long-term issues that you're not going to see right away. You'll see them later.
Wow.
And so now let's go to the cheating the right way.
Yes.
Cheating the right way.
I've never heard that term, cheating
You're
the
going to
right
like this. Is measuring who you are physiologically as an individual.
Yeah.
And then taking that knowledge, taking out, measuring your all your hormones, and it's not just about testosterone. Us men just think about testosterone, right?
Right.
It's about DHEA. It's about estrogen. Did you know that men need estrogen?
Yep.
I did not.
A lot of people don't know
I did
that.
not know that.
A lot of
That's how
people.
you get them
Men
titties.
need estrogen. Men need estrogen. Why? Because it protects our brains from Alzheimer's. I like that. and estrogen protects your heart from heart disease. So all these guys who are taking anti-estrogen medications are actually, yes, you're getting the initial benefits, but you're also causing long-term heart disease, and you're causing early Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So men need estrogen. Now, in what way, in what manner, all the
Yeah.
details of that, well, that's why you got to see a doctor who understands those types of things.
Tested.
It's about the balance of who you are. It's about the epigenetics of an epigenetic approach to taking care of you. What things are you doing that help change your genes in a good expression of your genes in a good way to get you into a better place? So that's what epigenetics is.
So it's more so not about, having too much testosterone or too much
Let's get him back on here,
estrogen.
you ask.
It's more so about
The balance
creating
of all
the
of
balance,
that.
correct.
Creating the balance of all of that. So the balance of who you are, first you need to see who you are, your base of who you are, so proper measurements of things. And then you need the appropriate approach to changing the way your genes are expressed to get you in a good place. So my genes are heavy. What do I mean by that? So I have cousins younger than me who have passed away from their obesity issues. My mom was morbidly obese the majority of her life. And I got immediate family members that are obese because of our genetic predisposition for that. So how I've taken care of myself to avoid that has been, is based on who I am as an individual.
Wow.
So I can't eat the same way you can,
Yeah.
but why am
Right.
I telling you to eat the same way as I am? Why would I do that? Why would I say eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise more if to the person who's been doing that all their life, yet they're still obese? Why would I do that? So it has to be personalized.
Wow.
All that has
Makes
to be
sense.
personalized to who you
Doesn't
are.
make sense.
And it's amazing, like the points that he tests on, right? Because I've never heard that term, like cheating the right way. Like, it's always been associated with as a negative, right? Type of thing,
right.
like when it comes to cheating. So I guess what Doc really just educated us on just in that 5-minute span is, look guys, there is a way you guys can properly do this.
Right.
I think a question that I would have for Doc, and he'd probably know obviously better than most of us, is if there is a right way to cheat, why do you think everybody is resorting to the easier way, or not the easier way, but still the
Shortcuts.
steroids?
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts,
Exactly.
Because it's easy, number one. Shortcuts are easy, but what we don't understand is the damage that and the long-term side effects that shortcuts can have. I'm a good example. So, like I said, in my immediate family, I have the obesity issues. I don't have the ability. My brain doesn't say I'm full when I eat. Right? There's a genetic predisposition for that. So I take a drug called naltrexone.
Say it again, Doc.
Naltrexone.
Naltrexone.
I take a drug that helps me stay in tune with my body
Got it.
in a balance to be able to maintain who I am in a healthy state. It allows me to do that. It keeps me from that food addictive behavior that's learned in our general population, which led us to our current 40% obesity rate and soon to be 50% obesity rate in this country, right? And that's all being normalized. So bottom line is, you've got to eat specifically to yourself. You've got to exercise specific to who you are. I can't exercise like I did 30, 40 years ago. No way.
Right.
I was doing triathlons 30, 40 years ago, hardcore. There's no way I could do that now. But I exercise for my age.
Yeah.
I exercise to maintain my metabolic flexibility. Remember what I said earlier?
Yes.
My ability to process sugars properly, to be able to, in a fasting state, burn fat rather than depend on sugar.
Right.
So everybody's different. It depends on your age. So that's why a full metabolic workup includes more than just checking your liver and your kidneys and your diabetes. It's way beyond that.
Definitely. Hey,
That makes
Doc,
sense?
I love that. It makes a lot of sense. We're gonna get going to the next exercise, Doc. You're giving us all the knowledge that more than enough for the day, but let's keep it moving.
No problem.
All right, so it's another one of Jeremy's favorite workout.
This is your favorite workout.
Nah,
This
it's
is
yours.
yours.
It's
I
yours.
personally hate these, but you can carry on.
Doc, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Before I do my workout, so what's the difference between a female and a male?
What's the difference between female and a male from my perspective?
I know I'm a male, so
Yeah. So here's the best part about that question. In medicine, in medical school, we unlearn that.
Wow.
Really?
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
So we got GYN specialists that specialize in female, yet we unlearn that. What do I mean by that? Why do we tell men and women the exact same thing on how to lose weight and get themselves into a better shape? We say exercise more and eat less. We say that, right? Do women respond the same as men to
Not
the
at all.
same exercise?
No.
To the same way of eating? Do women have complex hormones, cycle, that we need to adjust how we advise them?
Most
But
definitely.
why do we tell them the same thing? This is why women struggle. There's a gender bias in the healthcare system where us doctors, frankly, forget that women are women. And then worse, you add age to that, it's even worse. We tell the 60-year-old postmenopausal woman the exact same thing we'll tell a 20-year-old who's not had a child, how to lose weight. Exercise more and eat less. Oh, you're postmenopausal? Here's your Prozac.
Yeah.
Is that going to help anyone
not at
improve
all.
their metabolism? No. So men and women are different. And your traditionally trained physicians, like I'm traditionally trained, MDs, DOs, forget that. We give you the same advice. Women are a different animal, more complex. Men, we are babies. We're crybabies. We're easy. We can't handle. There's only 2 reasons why a man goes to a doctor. You know that. Do you guys know there's only 2 reasons why a man goes to a doctor? Here's the only reason. Their woman brings him to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's one, and number 2, I can't get it up anymore.
I was about to say,
nailed it.
Number
your
2.
meat not working.
Number two reason I can't have sex. By the time that happens, your heart disease is already set in. You
already
got a
there,
belly
man.
like this. And but women are much more complex. And so we need to treat them as such. The same advice to a woman that we give men is just wrong. And so this is part of what this is the gender bias that's built into not only the healthcare system, but in places like this. We want women to do the same thing as men, yet, we've got some different anatomy, different physiology, different way of responding to food and exercise. And that has to be taken in consideration. And all that sums up into what's called gender bias. And the healthcare system has a deep-rooted gender bias that women struggle with when they go to their doctor.
So
Women
if
will
I
go there.
accidentally give Jeremy Ozempic, it'll work differently from like.
Yeah, it works very differently.
Yeah.
The most popular drug now out there are all these semaglutide, Ozempic, Gonzalez, all that. We think men and women respond the same, and they don't.
Yeah.
And that's the same with supplements. That's a whole nother discussion, right? We can talk about supplements all day long. So bottom line is, we need to treat women very differently than men when it comes to how to exercise, how to eat, medications, all that. And that's the difference for men.
Yeah. Let's get you on there.
I
Let's
gotta
get
make
you.
it.
We can't let you escape this.
But I think that's.
So they got all the men doing first, but now they got the woman on here to get them.
Not at all. But I think he nailed some key points, like Chris and Rashad, right? Like, because I never looked at it like that. Even with like training, right? A lot of times people would come in and say, hey, see a female, see a male, and be like, okay, this is what you guys are gonna do. But I don't think they do really take into consideration, hey,
No.
there
No.
should be different approaches.
It's really sad that we don't take care of our sisters, our mothers,
Yeah.
our wives, our girlfriends. And then when you add the other aspect, there's just the LGBT community. There's this bias in the healthcare system that just ignores who women are.
Yes.
And it's sad, and I see that. My beautiful wife, my 60-year-old, beautiful, amazing woman who is a business owner, highly functioning, had her first heart attack at the age of 38 as a vegetarian.
Wow.
Why? Because the healthcare system ignored all her symptoms before that until she had the heart attack. And then when I met her 4 years later, she was on all these different drugs, the same exact drugs that we give men with heart attacks. But a woman's physiology is different.
Wow.
And so when I met her, I put her through our functional medicine workup, changed the way we took care of her, found the things that were ignored, things like her vitamin D level was nearly zero. Her hormones were really off. And so we managed that. 4 years, or less than 2 years later, she's off all her cardiac drugs. This is not a discussion about keeping people off drugs. It's a discussion about putting a woman on the right medications and diet and everything to get her into a better place. And she's better off without the medication, those cardiac drugs. Her heart is stronger than ever. And she's 68 and going strong.
Wow.
So that's gender bias.
That's
The inability to treat a woman like a woman
Yeah.
in the healthcare system.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So I think for everybody's genetics is different, but like certain times.
That's a whole nother discussion, right?
More like African Americans or just Africans in general, we tend to have like high blood pressure.
Higher blood pressure. Your kidneys are different
Yes.
than mine. They're
so, like,
different than
with
Caucasian.
high
Absolutely.
blood pressure and with something like that, like what would be a big no-no, like the number one no-nos you say we should definitely stay away from, just in general?
Yeah. So,
Great question.
you know,
Just
we
the
should
number
save that for another discussion because that goes into the realm of nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Nutrition and gender specific, race specific.
Yeah.
'Cause,
So for
yeah.
just for us, like us three.
Yeah. We got to be careful. Us four, right? Because
us
I'm
four.
Mexican, right? Don't
Yeah.
forget that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you know.
So I got the best of both worlds. My mom is Swedish.
Yeah.
My dad's Mexican.
Okay.
So that's why I go back and forth.
All right.
So so our kidneys are different.
Okay.
Our kidneys are different. We got to treat them differently. Salt affects us differently. The way we exercise affects our kidneys differently. Blood pressure, all of the things that make us physiologically who we are. What we do adds up to longevity, right? So we need to be careful about our salt intake. We need to be careful about how we eat fats and timing, even the timing of how we eat. Fasting is different for us, right? So how we fast. And that goes back to the metabolic flexibility thing. Fasting is the ability to be able to switch from glucose to your own fat for energy. So you know those people who pass out in an hour if they don't eat anything?
Yeah.
They don't know how to do that. Their bodies don't know how to do that. Our bodies are different.
Say that again, Doc, because I think that's the key thing for our viewers. When that breakdown of fasting and exactly basically what it is.
So when you tell somebody to fast, when you put somebody on a fasting program, their bodies have to be prepared for that. And most people are not, especially now, these days in our general population with our obesity rate being nearly 40%. Fasting is when you fast, your body switches from glucose that's stored in your muscles to switch from glucose to fat, right, for energy, to feed the brain. Metabolic inflexibility is your body inability to do that, so your brain starts to starve from energy, and so that's why the passing out thing.
Yeah.
So training that body to be able to switch back and forth during a fasting state is important. You don't just put somebody on a fasting diet right away without understanding that they need to get that there needs to be a transition. Wait, did I answer your question?
No, yes.
Did I answer the question?
I just want the people to understand fasting, like the way you broke it down, because I've never heard it broken down in that way. Usually you just hear fasting, wake up, don't eat, wait till a certain amount of time in the day, and then eat.
But if your body's dependent on carbs, you wake up, what are you craving? You want that carb, you want that piece of bread, you want that, right?
Yes.
So training your body, and that's part of what diets are supposed to do. Diets are supposed to be able to train your body to be able to switch from fat and sugar during a fasting state.
So when somebody asks,
Sugar
right?
fat.
When somebody says, hey, I want to go in and try intermittent fasting compared to regular fasting, I guess what would be how would you break down the two, and if is one more beneficial than the other, just regular fasting compared to intermittent?
So it depends on how old you are, age, what your gender plays a role in it, liver health, how your liver processes sugars, the way your pancreas puts out insulin, your insulin resistance. So the first thing that happens with diabetes isn't diabetes. Really? It's your body's inability to process sugars, that insulin resistance. And so at that level, it depends where somebody is, their age. There's so many different factors that play a role in how you eat and how your body reacts to fasting that it has to be individualized. Wow. It has to be individualized.
Wow.
So if you're an athlete,
yes,
an elite athlete, so I train a lot of different elite athletes. I have a lot of elite athletes as patients.
Do I look the part?
You look the part.
Okay.
Good point.
Yes.
Most of my athletes who are in amazing shape, they look the part, are some of my sickest patients, metabolically speaking.
Wow.
Their micronutrients are in a bad place. They're not able, their hormones are getting chewed up, but they got youth on their side to be able to make up for it.
Wow.
But they don't know it until later. And you guys have seen this before. You see this you see it in the NFL, for example. You see all these 20-year-olds that are just, but then they turn 40, what happens? What happens when they turn 40?
Break down.
That's right.
Break down.
They just break down.
Yes.
Alzheimer's sets in early.
Yes.
All these different things that happen. And it's not just about head injuries, by the way. It's not just about that. Yeah. So you can be in amazing shape. I got some amazing patients, amazing athletes, to teach their body how to recover, and longevity is what we're looking for. All this that we're surrounded with needs to be supported with good nutrition, with a good understanding of who that individual is. I am not going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell my 25-year-old son or my 17-year-old grandchild. I'm not going to tell them the same thing, yet we do. Exercise more, lift more, eat fruits and vegetables. That just is poor advice from a doctor, from an expert. It's poor advice from an expert to say to exercise more and eat less.
So I guess the question, because Chris is a big, like we're all big supplement guys, right? We try to maintain, right?
Supplements. Oh my God, you guys, you know that's an hour discussion, right?
So he takes certain supplements, I take certain supplements, Rashad takes certain supplements.
Yeah.
But if you just had
I
to
take
give,
certain supplements.
and there may not be a one-size-fits-all like answer for this, but if we had to give our top 3 supplements, right, for people in the gym, these are the supplements that you should at least, at the very least, be on. So what would we say, Doc, to those, to just everybody?
So I'm not going to give specific, but I will tell this.
Okay.
You want to focus on gut health,
Okay.
brain health, and cardiovascular health.
I love it.
Okay.
So those are the things you want to focus on. The problem with saying supplement names and supplement types is that, great example is vitamin D. Yeah. Everybody needs vitamin D. You got to get your vitamin D measured. What type of vitamin D? Did you know vitamin D is not a vitamin? If I tell people this, if I tell them, did you know vitamin D is not a vitamin? Did you guys know that? Did you know it's not a vitamin?
No.
There's
it
your
never really
first
occurred to
lesson.
me.
There is your very first lesson about the problem with talking about supplements, especially in short video discussions.
Wow.
Vitamin D is not a vitamin. Now, after we close this up and we shut things down, I know all 3 of you are going to go start Googling about it, and you're going to say, oh my God.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh my God. No, I want you to Google it.
Yeah, I was about to
because
put my phone on.
Here's the other surprise. Did you know vitamin D has the exact same base structure as testosterone,
Get out of here.
as estrogen,
Get out of here.
as progesterone?
Oh, I did.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Exact same base structure. Wait, gets better. Did you know that base structure is cholesterol? So, now, in a short period
So
of
we about to
time,
be like,
in a short period of time, you got some more knowledge of what most patients are getting from their doctors on basic things they need to know. Because if you're taking cholesterol medication, what is that affecting? Your hormones.
Yeah.
Not just your cholesterol, but it's affecting your hormones. So negatively and positively, maybe it just depends on why you're taking the cholesterol medication. What's the dose? What type of cholesterol medication? So vitamin D is a cholesterol-based hormone.
Wow. Wow. And Shad, I know you had a question for Doc, because we were talking about great things that you should and should not take. Ask him that money question you told me earlier.
So, looking at one of your rails earlier,
Yeah.
I know you was talking about the natural CBD system.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to
Here's another one of those, oh my gosh, I didn't know moments. CBD system. You know, CBD is kind of one of those big, big fads that happened a few years ago. Did you know that your body, you were born with a CBD system? Did you know you were born with it? You have a natural endocannabinoid system that affects multiple different things in your body. It affects the way your nerves heal. It affects the way your hunger centers. It affects your gut. It affects so many different things in your body. This CBD system, the endocannabinoid system, just like any other system in your body, ages, right? So it affects your mind. It affects your hunger centers. It affects all sorts of different things. The way your nerves heal from exercise. When I'm exercising, my CBD system is kicking in to help recover from that, from the damage that I'm causing while I'm exercising. Whether it's extreme exercise or light exercise, it doesn't matter. So having understood that, people think CBD and THC, marijuana, all that's the same. It's not. Totally separate. It's just it's a total separate. There is no THC system in your body. What happens is, well, the CBD system, we could go on, that's a whole nother discussion, right? But so as we age, just like any other system, vascular system, nervous system ages as well, your CBD system, your endocannabinoid system ages, it affects the way you eat. It affects hunger. It affects exercise recovery. It affects his mental clarity. And so, just that basic understanding helps people clear out what they're reading on marketing, right? How to sort out the marketing that's out there for CBD and THC and all those different things that. So CBD plays CBD plays a powerful role in your body to recover from exercise, mental clarity, gut health, peripheral nerve health. All of those plays a powerful role, and much more than just that. But,
and Doc, so we have a few questions here from some of our viewers at home, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this, and this is going to take us into kind of like back to the female topic, the topic of women, and some of the key questions that they want to ask. So here's one of them, right? And I'll read it from one of our viewers. She said, a lot of women are being diagnosed with PCOS. So what is it, and what are things women with PCOS should pay attention to while trying to live a healthy lifestyle and trying to lose weight?
Here's the bottom line with PCOS. PCOS is not a single diagnosis. It's a complex syndrome of the body that the classic is, overweight, insulin resistance, all that. Many of my PCOS patients are in great shape. That's a whole nother discussion that deserves more than just quick bites. The bottom line is looking for a physician that understands a systems biology approach to who you are as an individual, man, woman, at whatever age. Finding someone who understands a systems biology approach, that functional medicine approach. By the way, we need to talk about functional medicine in a moment. Need to help individualize your care. First of all, individualize your evaluation, not just your care.
Yes.
Individualize the evaluation and then your care.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what did I just say? The
Functional medicine?
Functional medicine.
Yes.
Yeah. So I need to mention this. This is important.
Yes.
Functional medicine is an abused term. It's such an abused term. Medicine should just be medicine. Integrative functional medicine is the ability for that provider, experienced provider, to look at you as an individual, as a whole person. The heart doesn't work by itself. The thyroid doesn't work by itself. Yet we have thyroid specialists that focus on the thyroid, and that's great. We need them for the pathology of what's going on with the thyroid, but we also need the understanding that the thyroid works very closely with the rest of your body. Your pancreas works closely with your thyroid. Your thyroid works closely with your testes. Your testes work close. Everything works together to make you who you are.
Basically, you need all the doctors over there like this on you.
Yeah.
Just huddled up, right, Chris?
Like, all right,
You guys got this.
all right, you got that? You got that? All right.
Exactly. So we need to understand that that the body works as a systems biology approach to who you are. And that's basically how I practice and how we practice and how you're supposed to practice in medicine. Because functional medicine is an abused term. I feel like it's an abused term. I don't want to disparage any groups of providers, but you know, there's some weekend functional medicine providers. There's, you know, people go to a course for 3-4 weeks and then all of a sudden they're a functional medicine provider. That's not how it works. Yeah. You got to have a deep understanding of human physiology and how it works together. Okay. Yeah. Any other question about anything?
Yes.
No.
Let me, like we got one more for you, right? And this is another one from one of our viewers, our true followers. And this is another one kind of taking us back to just what women can do, right? Here we go, Doc. So here's the question. A lot of women state that it's hard for them to lose weight no matter how much they work out, eat healthy, right?
Yeah,
Some attribute it to genetics or even hormones, but what advice would you give those women, and how could women who have hormonal imbalances still lose weight naturally without taking all of these new weight loss fads?
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Here's why I'm considered a medical feminist. I am a medical feminist. What does that mean? It means I actually understand that you can't give the same advice to a woman as you can a man. You just can't.
That's what you said earlier, yeah.
Very different physiologies, right? Yet we treat women the same as men. And what I mean by we, I mean the healthcare system. We tend to forget women are women.
Yeah.
And then we tend to forget that the 20-year-old woman who's not had a child is very different than the 60-year-old woman who's postmenopausal.
Yep.
The 25-year-old woman who hasn't had a child is a very different physiology than a 25-year-old woman who's had 3 children.
Yeah.
Right.
So women, the original question was what again? The original question was how can I...
women dealing with the different
different hormones,
imbalances and things like that.
So because at the different age, it depends on who you are and where you are in your age group, but you have to find someone who understands what I just said about the difference between men and women, and the difference between women and women, right? Postmenopausal, premenopausal, perimenopausal, and a woman who's not had a child. Very different physiologies.
Yeah.
So that's the approach the advice needs to be very different for those individuals.
Yeah.
And if people are not picking up on this, if you realize it's not giving you like the exact answer for the end-all be-all answer.
There is no single answer.
Great point, Chris.
He's telling you, because I want to reel it all in, because a lot of times you got a lot of people saying this and it's like you want to reel it all in. So everybody's different, just like your car outside is different, or different breeds of dog, different breeds of man. So certain things that somebody else is doing does not pertain to you per se.
Why would I expect a different outcome with the same advice to different physiologies?
Yes.
Why would I expect that?
So you want to go to somebody like you, for instance, who would basically study you, the individual, find out what caters to you, and then use the findings of you to basically come up with a plan to which will make you the best optimal you can possibly
Why
be.
would I tell my 60-year-old, beautiful, in great shape wife who's had a heart attack the same advice to my daughter?
Yes.
Why would I
Right.
do that?
Right.
Exactly.
That's what the healthcare system does. You've got to treat each person as an individual.
Yeah.
Man, woman, age group differences, your physiology is different. And you've just basically summarized what functional medicine is.
Got it. And talk about functional medicine. Where can people find you? Because I know once the episode posts, there's gonna be a lot of people that's like, hey, I want to go to that guy, or at least get in contact with them. Can you tell
Or
them?
even just content.
Yes, just
Yeah.
in general, content.
Yeah.
Instagram, your office,
Yeah.
give them that info.
So
Doc.
Instagram is I post on metabolic issues on Instagram. My Instagram is at my name, Ben Gonzalez. It's BenGonzalez _MD. So I talk mostly about metabolic function, women's health, men's
gonna
health
be
as
right
well.
here.
Absolutely.
You find it right there.
And that's the best way to contact. I have a great team that if you direct message me on Instagram, I have a great team that answers within 24 hours. And you can find a lot of good information on there. And then my clinic is in Silver Spring, Maryland. 301-622-2722 is the number. But what we really do at the clinic, and by the way, I gotta give a shout out to my nutritionist.
Oh, give that shout out.
She is amazing. She's
Put her
a functional.
Instagram also right here.
Yeah, what is her Instagram? Do you know off the top?
Yeah, absolutely. The Carrie Verde. So it's spelled TheCariverde. The Carrie Verde. She is a functional medical nutritionist. She knows more about hormones than most physicians in this area.
Wow.
And you physicians who are listening to this, I'm calling you out on it.
There we go.
She knows more about hormones than most physicians in this area. She's a functional nutritionist who understands the difference between men and women. She understands hormones and how foods affect hormones. Powerful. So in our clinic, we have this functional approach to helping take care of individuals and reaching your goals. Whether your goal is to do this, or whether your goal is just to get rid of your diabetes, or to become pregnant, whatever your goal is, it needs to be individualized. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Doc.
Let's
And then,
switch.
Of course, the way we like to always end it, because we know, Doc, we got to keep track of your time. We know you got to run, right?
Yeah, we're good.
So we got to ask something that we ask all our guests is, who is somebody that you can help us get on the next episode? We always ask one of our guests, who's somebody that you're gonna help us get on the next episode or on an upcoming episode of Pumping Perspective? You're gonna help us do it.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
we're gonna look into the camera and you're gonna tell us who that person's gonna be.
Oh yeah. Well, I already mentioned her, the Carrie Verde.
Okay.
So Carrie's she has a wealth of knowledge. Dr. James Laval, another good individual who I trust the most when it comes to the subject of integrative and functional discussions of when it comes to human physiology. Absolutely. So Jim Laval, Carrie Verde. I could do shouts out to all sorts of people. I guess.
There we go.
I hope that helped.
Now that's unbelievable. Well, Doc, we know time is of the essence, and we know you got a million places to go. We appreciate you for coming on to Pumping the Perspective. You've been unbelievable, Doc.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Doc. Guys, as always, like, follow, and subscribe. This has been another episode
Nice
of
to meet
Pumping
you guys.
Perspective.
Yeah,
We hope
very
you guys
cool. We'll do it
follow
again.
that in. We're out though, guys.
I hope that
See you on
makes
the next
sense. Hope that
episode.
helped.
Let's go.